Hello, everyone. It's me. I am alone, but it's not because Anna didn't try to get here. Anna, unfortunately, was trying to get here, and this is what outside Calgary looks like right now. It's even worse on the highways. So she tried, but the wind is snowing, or the snow is blowing too hard. The wind is blowing too hard. So I am obligated now to drink alone. So here we are. I did ask Charlene if she would drink with me, and she said no. So here we are, Mr. Snowman. Considering the outside weather today, it's actually a very fitting cocktail. And that what we're talking about is so relevant right now is what harmful impacts the cold weather can have on your home. And actually, I think this is a pretty cool topic because we're not only going to talk about the things that it could do to your home, but we're going to talk about the things that you can do to mitigate those problems on your home. So, what a fitting drink for horrible weather is the Mister Snowman. And let's get right into that cocktail here. So, I actually like doing this as kind of like a little kind of way to have the drink a little bit easier is I put half of my shaker in ice, and then I leave the other half empty, so that's where I can put the liquids and then dump the ice in after. So you can see in here that it required something called Cove syrup, which is super simple: water, sugar, and cloves. And then I thought I was pretty ingenious. Is I took my glass and I put kind of doused the rim in syrup and then use the coconut shavings to go around the outside just to make sure I got that coconutty, clovey goodness in every drink and every sip and to make the drink look fancier. So let's start with the drink. Empress Gin, one of my favorite gins. I absolutely love it because of its beautiful purple nature. So we're going to do 2 ounces of Empress Gin into our shaker. And then we're going to move on to our clove syrup, which is 75.75 of an ounce into our shaker. Lemon juice, which is half an ounce. And the coconut milk, which you're supposed to shake before use, and I really hope I did that. And coconut milk, 1 ounce, into our shaker. Dump our ice in there, and now we shake. I have no one to dance for me, so I'm all alone. Oh my gosh, it's getting so bad outside. Absolutely horrific. All right, all shaken up, and we are going to use our trusty strainer. Strain into our cup, and look at that. That's such a pretty drink and cocktail. That's so nice. Look at that beautiful purple hue. I think this would be an impressive looking cocktail to serve to your friends. And then it says put a little bit of coconut on top, some whole cloves, which mine just sink, so I don't know. And you could probably get with ground clove powder. And there you go. There is your beautiful looking cocktail. This kind of looks like something you should drink on a beach, not Mr. Snowman. Oh, that's tasty. That actually is super tasty. It doesn't even taste like there's alcohol in there. I wouldn't put the whole cloves in there, but certainly does not taste like there's alcohol in there at all. It does kind of taste like it's got a kind of a pina colada kind of taste. You don't taste the gin at all. Super good one. It'd be a fun Christmas one. So if you're looking for reasons or cocktails to make for Christmas, highly would recommend this one. I think it's actually a pretty nice little cocktail for the Christmas season for when your family and friends come over. All right. Now, let's talk about what the cold weather can do with your home. And this is actually kind of an interesting topic because of the fact that we all know that cold weather can do some stuff to our house. We've always been taught about frozen pipes and all that kind of stuff, but we've never probably been talked about ice damming in our attic, furnace failures, attic condensation, something called attic rain that can happen when it's hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Snow loads on our roof, obviously, window and door loss for heat, humidity imbalances. And actually, this one comes up a lot, and you'd be amazed because a lot of people don't realize how humidity works, especially during that hot cold season. And then they think that they've got water damage on their windowsills, but it's not actually water damage. It's ice damming that happened because you didn't allow the humidity to recirculate in the house. So, and of course, we've got possible power outages depending on how bad things get. So, so let's first talk about the frozen pipes. We all know and are confident that we've seen that. So if you haven't already drained all your outer pipes and then turned the water off, the next time we get a warm snap, which is going to be coming in about a week, you're going to want to do that then. Make sure that you get that in the warm weather. Try and get rid of it. Actually, I probably wouldn't even touch it now because if anything's going to be frozen, it's already going to be frozen. So leave it. Hopefully you've already turned it off. Hopefully you've already shut off the water to all those exterior pipes. But a lot of times this kind of stuff doesn't happen until your house really starts hitting below levels. So like -30, stuff like that. But always be cautious. But I'm just saying like -5, -10 is not going to make your pipes freeze. You're more looking for those kind of continued -30 temperatures, and your house really has to get down far degrees before those water pipes start bursting. But again, always be cautious. So ice damming on roofs, and this is actually when the home melts snow on the roof and it kind of refreezes and it causes the shingles to that are underneath it. The water then backs up under the shingles, and it causes leaks into the ceilings and the walls. So that's another thing that you've got to watch for, is to make sure that that isn't happening on your roof. And then, of course, heating and system failures. We've all been a part of those. Extreme cold overloads with what's going on in the outdoors can obviously, like, we're all heating our houses more and we're overloading our system. This can result in dangerous temperatures. What's really cool about the actual Nest thermostats is we actually had one time where the furnace in the pass and the furnace in the house both went out at a -30 at the exact same time, and it actually gave us warnings. The furnace sent us indication saying, hey, temperatures drop below. So that actually is kind of one of those smart things that you can get nowadays with the smart thermostats, is that it will tell you when you've got issues. Just like too, is if you're worried about leaks, there's something called the Moen Smart Flow, where you can stick it into your home, and that Moen Smart Flow will test every day to see if there's any leaks in your house, and the Moen Smart Flow will actually give you an indication that you've got a leak somewhere in your house, and it can kind of help you. And if you put in the sensors all around your house, it'll tell you even where that leak is. So there's a lot of kind of cool smart technology that you can use nowadays that you don't have to consciously be checking around, and that you can know before things get bad. Because the problem is when you have water and stuff and you have those leaks, is water causes a lot of damage, and a lot of times where you find the water might not be where the water started because it takes the path of least resistance. So then we talk about things that we should worry about. Humidity, humidity limitations or imbalances. During a dry winter, it can crack wood floors. And actually, if you've got newer wood floors, if you don't keep your humidity up at a certain temperature, what will end up happening is that your actual warranty on those floors won't be available anymore, because that humidity has to stay a certain temperature. And if you're not born and raised in Calgary, you know how dry it can get in Calgary. So it's super important to make sure you keep your humidity up and you keep your humidity going. But then you also have to worry about that there's not too much humidity on your windows. And this is where you have to raise your blinds up. Your blinds should always be open at least kind of a 1/4 inch, so that that air and humidity can circulate and flow, because that's where you get that ice damming against your windows. And then what happens is the ice builds up and then it melts and you get water all over your windowsill. So you get water damage, and then it builds up again and it melts. Where if you have that 1/4 inch to an inch blind up, it'll help and allow the circulation to flow and the heat and stuff to flow, so that it doesn't get that ice damming that we're talking about here. And then, of course, exterior damage from wind and ice. So we've got to make sure if we've got our downspouts properly out or flowing, that if we've got ice building up, we want to make sure that we can get it broken down and that it's flowing properly. Strong winds can detach shingles, and it can even cause damage on gutters and siding. And of course, if there's any leaves or anything or tree limbs close to your house, you want to obviously, that's always something you want to cut back during the summer, because those tree limbs you got to be really careful about, because they can they can fall in your house and they can cause damage there. All right. Now, how do we fix this all? So it's pretty simple. Insulating our exposed pipes with foam sleeves or heat tape, which is what we can do, keeping our indoor temperatures always above 15 degrees Celsius, even when we're away. Let faucets drip during extreme cold, and seal drafts around doors and windows. Install a main water valve and drain pipes to our opening taps, and try them all in SmartFlow. For ice damming, we want to enhance our attic insulation. And believe it or not, a lot of people have no idea how much insulation they have in their attic. And I'll be honest, for my husband and myself, we ended up actually increasing the insulation in our attic, and we see significant savings in our heating bill. We saw a significant amount of heat being kept inside the house, and we didn't even realize it until I had a client who was like, hey, I just increase the insulation in my attic, and the benefits that it had. And increasing the insulation in your attic isn't that expensive. It's $1,000, $1,500, depending on how much you need. So it's definitely something that you may want to look at this winter season. So then we've got, and that's going to help with that ice damming and stuff like that if we get the proper insulation in the attic. If you have the ability, your roof, you can definitely do that. You can also go on a what's it called, a ladder, and you can pull it down if you don't want to climb on your roof, which obviously isn't great. Furnace failures, make sure you serviced your furnace, and make sure that your furnace is in good working order. That's something that you can call people in right now and get them in to come and service your furnace, replace all your filters. Right now is the time, because we know that furnace is going to be circulating significantly over the winter season. So make sure that you've replaced that furnace filter, and do it every 1 or 2 months. You don't need a fancy one. You don't need a super expensive one. You just need that basic one to let the air flow and catch things that shouldn't be floating around your house. Attic condensation and mold. Properly vent your attic. So a lot of times you can get the attic person when they're up there and they're blowing in insulation. They'll tell you if you need some kind of look at, you need more vents, or are your vents working properly, and all that kind of stuff. Your bathroom vents and your kitchen exhaust, not into the attic, but outside, which if you're in new codes, that'll automatically happen. But if your house was built like in the 1950s, 1980s, that may not have happened back then. So just make sure that you've got those things vented outside of your attic. And then obviously watch for the snow loads on your roof. So, if you see a bunch of snow building up on your roof, do what you can to pull it down, to break it down and stuff like that, and make sure that it falls onto the ground, because it's better on the ground than it is on your roof. But thank God for Calgary, because what's great about Calgary is lots of times we tend to go into a schnook, so all of it melts, and that's about it. So basement flooding, we want to clear our gutters and our downspouts, and we want to make sure things are sloping away from our house, so that water is flowing away from your foundation. Because the last thing you want to do is give a reason or an opportunity to build up ice and water against your foundation. So windows and door heat loss, replace worn weather stripping and caulk gaps with whatever that stuff is called. Add window film if you want. That can really help reduce the heat loss as well. So you can buy it at Home Depot or Rona or whatever, and you can put it around the windows. And it's a little plastic film, and it can help keep that heat inside your house and not going outside your house. And maybe if you haven't done it already, look at your windows and do an honest assessment on if upgrading your windows will be a good renovation, because you want to make sure that if you're going to pay all that money in replacing your windows, is it going to compensate you, and in what period of time? because you're with your heating bills. So humidity imbalances, maintain your humidity around 30 to 40% on indoor humidity, using humidifiers in dry conditions and dehumidifiers if needed, which if you're in Calgary, we don't need dehumidifiers. And trim and overhanging branches, like we already talked about. You want to get rid of those in the summertime. And of course, if you have power outages, have a backup plan. Prepare a little emergency kit if there is a power outage with candles, flashlights, things like that. If you have a gas stove, what's nice is that those gas stoves still work in a power outage. But things like that, and then obviously garage damage. Use mats to maintain or to absorb any kind of melting snow. Seal floor cracks and improve the insulation in your garage, and just consider getting a heated garage for the extreme cold. So those are all of your solutions, which I'm a super solutions based person. So I hope that those help, and I hope that that helps you worry and figure out how to maintain your house in these extreme colds. Now, we have a prize. And this is actually our last show of the season because of the fact that we're going into a break for Christmas. And our next show would have been on Christmas Eve, and then the next one on New Year's Eve. And we're not going to do shows on those days because we're all busy doing stuff for the holidays. So, based on all of that, you have to like and share our show. Comment. If you comment, you get additional entries for the draw. If you like and share our show, you get entries in for the draw as well. And you are doing this. Tag a friend. We always love that. We'll give you additional entries for that. And you're doing this to win the wonderful cocktail set, which is utterly fantastic. Look at all the things you get with it. You're going to look like an absolute expert making cocktails for your friends over the Christmas season, obviously out of the Tipsy Realtor cocktail conversation journal. And then once you like and share our show on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok, we're going to keep entering you so that you can win your prize. And you'll get it in the new year on our first show in the new year, which I believe is January 3rd or 7th. And on that show, we're going to do watermelon cosmos and first-time homebuyer strategies. And I don't know if it's going to be both me and Anna or just Anna on that show, but we're definitely going to be there, and it's going to be an awesome show. And I hope you guys have a very, very Merry Christmas. It is important to us that you stay safe, that if you drink, please don't drive. And of course, spend time with your family, do what you love. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, take the time to relax and put your feet up. We absolutely love having you on our show. And we hope you guys all have an amazing holiday season. And thank you so much for supporting us over the years. We're excited for 2026. We expect to see good growth in Alberta, and we expect to see our home prices continue to go up. So we're so fortunate where we are. And I hope you guys remember that throughout the holiday season. Have a great time. Drive safe. Be safe. Love your family and friends. And we'll talk to you in 2026. Happy New Year.